Hello guys, so in today's video we're looking at the Firemaple Blade 2 remote canister stove. So this is the box, let's open it. So the stove comes in this very nice mesh stuff sack. Let's take a look at it. So here's the stove. As you can see here, you got the tube for the remote canister attachment. You got the stove stands, and you got 3 feet. Very easy to extend. Alright, so let's talk about the characteristics of this stove. It's made out of mostly titanium, but there's some components made out of stainless steel, aluminum, and copper. So unfolded, it measures 5.7 inches so that's the diameter, and the height is around 3 inches. So it weighs only 135 grams or 4.7 ounces. So it's a pretty efficient stove with a 9,500 BTU per hour rating at 2.8 kilowatts. So one characteristic of the stove that I really like is that it's very compact and very light, and therefore it's extremely easy to store in other containers. As you can see here, I have this pot. I could easily store the butane canister and the stove on top. So another feature that I like about this stove is that it's very easy and quick to deploy. You just have to flip out the pot stands and deploy the 3 feet, and that's it. Next step, you just have to connect your isobutane canister and it's done. So in the past, I've mostly used stoves like the Pocket Rocket that you screw on directly on your canister, but I've come to really appreciate these remote canister stoves for many reasons. So the number one reason is that these stoves are much more stable because of the three feet. It's much easier to install them on rough ground, like in this rock. Whereas if you're gonna directly put the canister on the rock, it's gonna be very difficult to have a stable platform. Another problem with these stoves, like the Pocket Rocket, is that when they're on top of the canister, they're quite high. If you're gonna add a big pot on top of it, because it becomes very wobbly, and there's a risk that your stove can fall down. Whereas these remote canister stoves are much closer to the ground and therefore much more stable. So another great feature of this stove is the simmer. So it's very adjustable. You can easily cook food even in titanium without burning it. So I've been using the Blade 2 stove in many different conditions, including in winter where it was quite cold. Normally these stoves are very difficult to use because of the reduced vapor pressure, but the Blade 2 has a preheat tube. So the preheat tube, also called a generator loop, will help for better operation in cold conditions and at a higher altitude. So this allows for the gas to preheat next to the flame and therefore increase the vapor pressure. So this is definitely a great stove for winter camping or winter conditions where most stoves won't function, but because of the preheat tube, it'll function to lower temperatures. On top of that, I noticed that if you put the simmer to the max power, it's going to be very efficient when you're going to melt some snow. So in conclusion, what can we say? Well, if I compare it to all my other stoves, this is probably one of the best ones. So it's compact, it's light, it's very stable, and it works at cold temperatures. So I definitely highly recommend this one.